It's finally been there. I've been getting some feedback, and I appreciate that. And as always, I'm always up for trying different things. So for today, for the RSI day, I'm currently starting on the website, not in the showroom floor. So the showroom floor, we'll kind of talk about some highlights, but I'll start today with the website. So as always, what I prefer to do is go into the pledge store and then to the extras all products and see what's new. Um, the I don't even know what's in my cart. I have no idea. uh, Goodness. But anyway, first off the bat, if you look at here, you're probably seeing quite a lot of concierge stuff. As I predicted yesterday, the concierge level packs for Anvil are still available, and the RSI has been added to those. Now, if we were to say look at the RSI complete pack, I predict there's a lot of Polaris goodness in here. But yeah, there's the Polaris. We have the Scorpius, this little guy with the turret that can move from top to bottom, remote turret. The RSI Orion, amazing mining vessel. The Scorpius, like I mentioned, the Polaris. The rare Phoenix is included in here. You have the Medevac. Where's the triage? Is the Apollo triage in here as well? There it is, the Apollo triage. A few different Auroras, which are the small starter ships. My favorite Aurora is the LX. That's actually my first ship in the entire game was an LX. It was the leather chair model of the Aurora with a slightly different weapon pack. Um, Still near and dear to my heart. I ended up upgrading that, interestingly, to an Apollo medevac myself, but that was a tough decision. It was one of my last LTI tokens, and I just said, you know what? I never use it. It would just be a hanger. Queen. However, I fully intend to purchase one with in-game funds and keep it in my hangar once that's available, and kind of treat it as like just something to check out once in a while and maybe decorate for the holidays. You know, put some twinkle lights on it or something if they let you do that. But anyway, uh, that's my opinion on the Auroras. I guess pretty tellingly, they have a I have a soft spot for one of them, but I would not recommend any of them for anybody who is got a few different ships. The Aurora is, I guess you could say, the CL version can carry that store all container. In the future, that's kind of one that has a future, but most of them are not. So this package is very, very specific for very specific folks. The credit version, the war bond version. I've already had my opinion. I'll have my Anvil video and the cards be at the end of this. Go to the chapters towards the end. You'll see that I have all my Anvil opinions in there. Now, onto the actual ships themselves on their own. We see that the A2 is available, which was available yesterday as well. That's a Crusader ship. But the RSI Polaris is available and is not limited, like it was not limited last year, which is good. We have the Perseus and still have the Carrack. The Orion is in here, which is the new ones. And notice this tag they're starting to use for concept vessels. This means they're not in the game if this is your first big sale. A concept ship could be released in a couple months, you know, in the middle of 2022 or something, or it could be released in years. Bear that in mind, that if you have a concept ship like that, you're probably going to want something that's for now, for the near future, and for long term. The Orion was added to the roadmap, basically being reconcepted and reestablished in mid 2022. We'll hear more information about the Orion. So very exciting stuff. It is entirely plausible by the end of 2022 we could see it if it was something that would be prioritized after they see how it's fleshing out and how much work would be required to get it in. It is a massive vessel. I don't even know if there's anything in game that would warrant an Orion anytime soon. Now, with the MISC Explorer slash mining vessel being rolled out towards the tail end of IAE in just a few days, it is interesting that we are seeing large scale mining focus kind of become something a little more important. Now, when we're talking about the about the MISC vessel, we're talking about something the size of a Carrack or a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller, wider though, so it's going to have a lot of heft to it. And unlike my prediction, it will have a hangar. maybe even the size of a prospector's. One moment. But, sorry. But the biggest factor is this will be much, much, much larger. The Orion is going to be something of a capital mining vessel with processing capabilities on board, a lot like what we may be hearing rumors of for the MISC Explorer slash mining support vessel. Uh, that this ship would be on a industrial level scale, taking entire belts with it, pieces of belts. Very exciting ship, but something that I think we need to wait and see on the concepts. If you are a very industrial minded person, this is a great ship to think about. Now, on to the Polaris and the Percy. The Perseus is a gunboat through and through. Those are massive guns. There's two on the bottom, two on the top, two on the bottom of this ship, and then there's some minor anti-fighter aviation stuff on the back. It's really meant to fight things that are as a bit smaller than it or the same size as it. It is not meant to turn these massive turrets and point them at, say, a Super Hornet or a Hurricane or something. And this ship, in theory, will be very susceptible to, say, a gang of Ares, Infernos, or Ions, or a mix of those two. Unfortunately, from the back, this ship will have a hard time being able to defend itself from such ships. And once its limited anti-fighter technology is knocked out, or incapacitated through E-War in some way, then this ship will have a lot of problems on its hands. The Polaris is a little more fleshed out, being that it has a hangar on board to support an entire group of fighters. So you can put one in at a time, but when you bring it in, you can fix it, rearm it, refuel it. So in theory, the Polaris can operate easier with smaller ships that it's going to need to defend it from smaller ships. It also has a capital class radar, which the Percy does not. But the Percy only requires really 4 crew to properly run it. I'm not saying maxed out, but you got 2-man turrets. You have the pilot slash, I guess you'd call it the ship captain, and then you have somebody handling damage control, handling the engines, doing the mini games to keep everything running it when you get attacked. So I would say that at least 4 people on board the Percy. The Polaris is a whole nother story where once you factor in a fighter pilot, once you factor in the bridge crew, a torpedo specialist, then also your engineering people and your turret people, you can get, I think, a lot more out of this ship, but it's going to have a higher crew status. Also, it goes without saying, the 4th Percy person would be the person handling the turrets, by the way. That's what I'd recommend. But these are interesting ships. Now, as the Liberator is still available at this moment, the Anvil Liberator is something that I would say is a great ship. If you don't want capitals, but you still want to be able to move around a lot of stuff, a lot of ships and vehicles and some cargo, the Liberator is going to be perfect for that type of role, especially in Pyro. You've got a system that's 3 times the size of Stanton, or give or take. I could see this ship being essential for that type of environment. The ground militia packs, I don't get it. The best value tag, okay. We talked about this yesterday, where they have the Nova, the Ballista, the Spartan. These packs are fine. The big problem I have with them is right here. It has LTI. I apologize. The LTI is on the Warbond variant. So my only other complaint about the Warbond variant is the cost for all these ground vehicles. To buy a ground vehicle in game, especially the Cyclones, I'll pick on those because they're really cheap. Is a lot of money for very little exchange for UEC. So that's my only real pick apart, I guess, I could do for the Warbond variant. The non-Warbond pack only has the 10-year insurance. Now, 10-year insurance is still good, but I think when you're paying a premium for ground vehicles, not even ships, I think that we can do better than that. Especially when they're not in a pack where it's just they're just a minor part of the pack. It's the entire pack. It's just vehicles. And don't get me wrong, I think this would be great for an org to have something like this, but it may be better to have that conversation with your workmates and be like, look, we're all in the same time zone. Why don't I get a Spartan, you get a Ballista, you get a Nova, and we can do some org ops, a couple Cyclone MTs for people who can't swing that type of cost. A lot of people just got those Argo referrals with LTI, so CCUing one of those Argos to, say, a Ballista would be a nice thing. A Spartan would be a nice thing, and even a cyclone, even a cyclone would be, in some cases, better than the Argo, unless that's the type of gameplay you're looking for, and you have ships that can carry it around, or ships, or you're thinking long term for outpost use until you want to CCU it, if you ever do. Nobody says you have to. We've had some interesting discussions about the Valkyrie. I've got mixed feelings about if the Valkyrie is outdated now. I think there will be eventually a golden pass that allows that top floor to be sealed off from the doors, or there'll be air dams added to the doors. I think that would be the biggest thing to modernize this ship, because right now, if you open those doors and it's not 100% oxygen, the crew area gets completely vacuumed, which is not good. And if there's any toxic gas or smoke or whatever in a battlefield, you're still going to get it up there, which is not a wise move. I think some ballistic clear panels would be nice, or just ballistic panels blocking the view from the crew area to the decks below would be smart. And then at the top of the ladder, have a door that shuts, bulkhead, so to speak, for the top of the ladder would be smart. But I'd stay tuned on this ship, if you're still looking at it. The Crucible, there's too many wild cards with it. I think last we heard it could fit a Hornet on its area to work on it and carry it around. It has that rotating mechanism. It has crew quarters in the back. I'm not even going to weigh in on the Crucible. I think it's going to go up slightly eventually, but who knows when. When is this ship going to be anywhere? I want to see more on it, more development. We've only seen a few kind of snapshots of where it's going in recent times, so mixed feelings. This is the ship of the day, the Connie Phoenix. The Connie Phoenix has 10-year insurance on it, and it's being sold in 3 waves. I'll have the link at the end to the wave timings. Or you know what? I think I have that screenshotted. Hang on just a moment. Let's see. So we have 4 p.m. UTC, 12 a.m. UTC, and 8 a.m. UTC are the waves, and that's for each ship manufacturer. And right now we have the Connie Phoenix. And the limited ship waves are going to be very interesting for the future days. I love the Phoenix. I don't think it should be limited, but I guess that's part of the allure. I guess. I think it's a beautiful ship, and it's one of the it's my favorite Connie. I melt mine on and off every now and then with my 10-year insurance I got a couple years ago, and I still love the dang thing. I think it's fantastic. It's one of 2 ships I have 10-year insurance on, that and my Holy. And I love both of them, but I wish they were LTI'd. I'm not going to BS you. But anyway, Argo Mall is always available, or most of the time available. Great ship to use as a CCU springboard. So if you pick up an Argo Mall to a Liberator, an Argo Mall to a Crucible, for example, you can see how the value is not that much to keep that in place. And the Argo Mall is often available where rarer ships are not. So upgrading a ship with LTI or 10-year to an Argo Mall is not a bad idea. And you can do that down the line, and then have that mold to Crucible or whatever your ship you're trying to get to. It's the same thing as like a Starfarer or Starfarer Gemini. I do the same thing with those. I think I have 4 Starfarer Gemini to Endeavors back when it was a little cheaper, and I think they were $10. I mean, it's nothing. I mean, when you're talking about these type of things. Right now, you have the Idris P stuff going to be coming out tomorrow. So because when you purchase an Idris P, this is available all the time, but it's only the Warbond variant for this USD. However, there is the sold out variant, which is credit based. Sorry, this is Warbond, but there is one that's credit based. It's up here, I think. Oh, the SKU's not in right now, but when it is, it's part of the waves, and it's an extra 50 USD on top of that. Here's my near and dear, one of my favorites, the Medevac IAE. There is an in-game, there is a website for that. I'll include the website at the end of this video. You can play to unlock the ability to buy the Medevac. If it might still be a requirement. If not, you get a forum pip out of it. It's nice. If you don't have the mini game completed, you can still get the triage. The difference between, just besides the paint, the difference between the Medevac and the triage is that the medevac comes with a missile launching rack and it has better armor. So it has a step up in armor compared to the triage when you're talking about the medevac, and I think it is worth it. But both of them have the same capabilities, the same drones that can pick people up and bring them into the bottom of the hull, and the same modular beds, which can be tier 3, 2, or 1, last we heard. Hopefully, it keeps that when it goes to flyable. I wish very soon, I hope very soon. I'll be honest with you, I thought that was going to be a surprise for 315.1, especially due to the, the critical nature of medical capabilities now. How they're kind of like the cornerstone of what's. I thought these were going to be the new Cuddy Red. When they nerfed the Cuddy Red, I thought for sure there's clearly that same patch, or at least 350.1, they would roll out these being regeneration stations. But and maybe not modular yet, but at least just have a tier 1 bed on one side and maybe tier 3 beds on the other or something, because there's two hospital rooms in these things. Very interesting ships. And like tier 3, I think it gets 3 beds on whichever side you pick. Tier 2, it gets 2 beds. Tier 1, it only has 1 bed on that side. And it consumes more medical supplies the more advanced the treatment. So it's understandable that the bed would require more of the limited finite supplies on board the ship in order to complete regenerations and fixing of serious injuries. Just some thought. The Drake Caterpillar Pirate has nothing to do with the sale. The Connies are all available, of course. On that topic, I'm going to get back to that in a moment because I have a bone to pick. But anyway, let's go into paints. Now, there is some paints from yesterday. There is some paints from these packs. I I really don't have too much of an opinion. I will comment on the IAE paint. I think that's probably the best way to put this. This is probably the best way to do this. So in IAE, the color scheme for the paint job is this color. Now, if you like that color, you're going to be very happy with IAE. If you don't like that color, then you're probably going to want to stick to the other color paint jobs. In these packs where they have multiple paint jobs, be very careful and know that you want all of the paints because the charge is going to be everything. So you don't want to get stuck with like one paint you really love in a pack, and there is a SKU for that specific one, but you end up picking up the pack that has all of them, and you're like, dang, I shouldn't have got that. So just keep that in mind. Now, on to ship packs. So yesterday I did not cover this. There are discount game packs, and there is one crazy one that I wanted to cover. Ignore the concierge stuff. This right here. I've got a bone to pick with this. They just changed this on the website for tracking, and it's kind of weird. So in this package, look at that price, and then look at the fact you only get 6 months insurance. If somehow, some way you happen upon this video and you just started in your Star Citizen time, um, don't get that. Don't get that at all. If you did, don't sweat it. It's not the end of the world. You can melt it and get something else. So the deal is you need to have a game package, but you don't need to pick up the ship you want in that game pack. You can get a much more practical game pack. By the way, this is an excellent example right here. The discount on the Nomad with Star Citizen and Squadron 42 combo. That's pretty damn good because that gives you 2 games plus it gives you a very good pick, the equivalent of a pickup truck in the game, with no skin off your nose. And then the rest of that you can spend on another ship without having to buy any more of these game packs and just focus on the ship's value. Um, that's how I would go. I was a little downtrodden that they didn't put the discount on the Pisces, the poor little Pisces. But if you're just trying to get somebody started in the game, I like these Mustangs. Notice this is Warbond, that's why it's cheaper. But I like the Mustang package right there. I still love them. I still love the Pisces, despite the fact they're not being a discount pack, unfortunately. If you look here, this one comes with Squadron 42. That's why you see that little bump in cost. But you could still just get this. If you don't want the single player game in the future, you can get that. And I strongly suspect they're going to have a very cheap Squadron 42 release that will allow you to add that to any of these packages or buy standalone eventually. I think they used to. I think I'm just not sure if they didn't, if they still do at this moment. So that's kind of my perspective on this. I like the Nomad one. I like the Mustang one. If you're going to go with the discount packs, do not, under any circumstances, get the Connie Andromeda in the starter package. 6 months insurance on such a big ship, especially on RSI day when you can you can go get the Connie Andromeda with 10-year insurance. Just buy it outright without playing the CCU game is really something that I would recommend. So I mean, there it is. There it is, and it's worth every penny. And there's your 120-month insurance, 10 years of insurance that doesn't even start until after alpha, after beta, into the start of the game, day one of 1.0, of the full-on game release for years from now. That's what I would go with if I was interested in that type of ship. Also, it goes without saying, you can get other Connies. So bear that in mind too. There's plenty of other Connies. The hauling Connie, the exploration Connie. You don't need to get the gunship if you don't want to. The Connie Phoenix if you wait for the waves. Yeah, the Connie for paint job looks pretty cool for the Nomad. Anyway, that's the one half of the website. Let's go into the CCU game a little bit, which I suspect a lot of you are waiting for. So if I pick, say, I mentioned earlier, let me start with something that's a good standby ship that a lot of folks would have. Huh. Where's the 400i at? I know it's here. I know it's at this level. Here it is. Okay, so if, say, I was starting with the 400i, and I'm looking at like stuff like the Apollo Medevac, that's not a bad jump at all. And that's something you can hang on to. You can enjoy the 400i now in game, and then down the road, once the Medevac is released, you can feel it out, see if you appreciate it, and then do the CCU. And if not, you melt it back for the 25. No big deal. Another one that I would look at, well, God, I was about to go to the Orion, but I thought the Orion last was like 425. I guess it went up again. So maybe the Crucible. I would consider that if you're really diehard about it and you really think that this is what you want to be doing, and repair, salvage, that kind of stuff. I know they can have some limited capabilities to do, like a couple of them together can do capital work, but we don't know enough about it yet. That's what worries me about the Crucible. It could turn into anything. So let's take a look for another standby here. Let's pick the Valkyrie, a little bit higher. So with the Valk, another option. Right now, this minute, this ain't cheap, but if you have the credit, this wouldn't be a bad option. And also at that price point, the Orion. The Orion is available today. Now, the Orion is a long-term vessel. So, well, technically Lib is too, but I think the Orion is going to be a little bit further out. The Liberator being a two, I think it's very telling it only has the 2 beds. It's going to be a shorter term thing, and it's going to have to be out before Pyro. They want this thing there for Pyro. They don't want to open up Pyro and all the people with the little ships find out they can't get there and freak out. So they want a pile of Liberators running around in player and maybe even NPC hands that are literally able to move your stuff for you. Probably just players is first. But that's kind of where we're at with that. If we look at additional things, we have the Percy. And if you look, what I'm really looking for is like the 2 option items. And I really don't see any at at the higher price points. Now, if we were to drop down, I think the Scorpius would be one of your options with these, with the Argo cargoes and such. At this price point, I'm curious. I think there's going to be... here's the Spartan still. And here we go. The Scorpius has a special Warbond edition. So it's still expensive as heck. But you would carry your LTI over onto a much bigger ship. Well, a ship compared to the with a quantum drive, with the ability to have 2 people on board and really put some pain on things. Versus a utility vessel without a quantum drive that's more of a support vessel. So if you've gotten one of these and you don't quite know what to do with it, this is not a bad option, but look at what you have to outlay for that. So there's not too much on the CCU game for RSI Day. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of optionals that are have a lot of catchy things. I was hoping there was, but there isn't. I was expecting the Connies, to be honest, to be really the ones that really made things work, made things click today. I think it's also pretty telling that the Auroras are basically not even on here at this price point. The Aurora LN's the upgraded one with the extra weapons, like an extra missiles, I think, and an upgraded guns. But even then, I would not recommend the Aurora for that. The CL's interesting. The LX is a luxury one that's kind of fun, but that's about the only two Auroras I even have any interest in. To be fair, I'm obviously biased. I like bigger ships, but still, I like to see people get value for their money. Okay, so that's this. Let's go into game and take a look at some of these ships. Maybe hopefully some surprises on the Hollow viewers and things like that. I like the fact that they added the schedule right into the calendar here, right inside the elevator. That's pretty chill. So Apex Hall is the one with RSI, but you can still go to Anvil Day in the Zenith Hall. Yeah, my old i7-7700K is still running pretty good. It only has a minor overclock. Oh my god, yes! Yes, I'm sending the NPC up! Haha! NPC got.
Got.
Yeah, this is the RSI Phoenix. I have one of these, but it's in buyback right now, so I'll rent it for...
Is that the one we used to always play in, or...?
Yeah, I used it a lot. That was the first little bit of lag I got, was like trying to load this menu. Andromeda. Oh no, that's the Taurus! Oh my god. Taurus is a hauler. So the Taurus has this huge hauling bay at the back. This entire center.
I actually do want to play Star Citizen, so we should play that tonight.
Definitely.
We should get a group.
Mine updated. I found my Karma too, by the way.
Nice.
It was on one of the spin stations.
Nice. And I mean, you can get everything from Anvil and RSI right now and when you rent these for 0 UEC, you get to fly them for 48 hours. So it's a pretty good rental system.
Yeah, honestly, the only things I'm really looking forward to flying are in-game nights.
Well, that's a possibility. I mean, that's always a possibility. Here's the good stuff, though. Down here.
Ooh.
They're the mini Ursa rovers. So when the turret's down, it sits slung to the side like this.
That's kind of cool. I like that.
And then it goes on top. Oh, I gotta go.
That's actually really cool. I like that.
After this one, I gotta show you Anvil's section, because they have the Spartan and the Ballista. Here's nothing. This hull looks a lot like theirs, but they have the Ballista and the Spartan, and I think you really would get a kick out of those. The Ballista.
It's got a giant cannon that drops out of the top of it and starts launching into orbit. I'm not that interested.
The Ballista can shoot stuff down that's in high atmosphere. It has like a
cool.
big missile package on the back, and then the Spartan
missile pods.
Yeah, and then the Spartan is like an APC that seats 8, and it has a big cannon on the front from the Ballista. Explicitly has a mini cannon too. This is the Polaris. This is the one that has the size 10 torps.
Good God. It's so big they're not even letting you actually look at it, or is that just the size?
What they do is they have a hologram when stuff's still being in development, and they update the holograms for each event. I'm in the basement of the building.
That's a Starfighter. It's Starfighter, the last Starfighter. Does it do Death Blossom? It even looks like it.
I don't know if it does Death Blossom. It looks like an X-Wing meets the last Starfighter.
Yeah.
Because that cannon gets moved. That quad cannon gets moved along a track to the bottom of the ship, which the only other ship in the game that does that. You can see the tracking here. So it goes from the bottom to the top. And the only other ship that does that is like the Javelin, which is a destroyer. The biggest player-owned ship in the game currently. Well, it's not even flyable, but it's in game, technically. is down here. Kat, are you still there?
Yep.
Here's the Ballista. This is an older vehicle that's literally in game already.
You have to hold still for a minute so I can actually see it. Wow, that looks kind of cool.
Yeah, this is the Ballista. And its deal is back here, basically.
Yep,
It's a
I see that.
two-person fire team. The front, because the driver can also operate the cannon at the front, that turret. So you go into the side here. I don't have a helmet on, so I can't put a flashlight on. But anyway, the driver sits here.
Yeah.
And then in the back here, there is a second seat.
Oh, okay.
It won't let me move the turret around likely, but I can power it up. And that's the turret that really matters. Now, one of the things I'd love to test is, can this thing hit ground targets? And I'll show you why in a minute. Because this platform here has a second version.
Yeah.
That keeps that front cannon, but ditches the missiles. This turret can take down vehicles, aerial stuff. Like it can fight off spaceships, supposedly. From what I understand, if you put a pair of these somewhere, it's pretty nasty. But there's the outriggers right there. When it deploys, it deploys. It can't just fire the missiles. It has to stop and put these little guys down, as I understand it, to be able to turn that thing around properly and fire. Over here. This is the Spartan. I wonder where the door handle is. This is a new vehicle. Oh, there it is. Holy shit, this thing lights up like a Christmas tree. Let's see.
Yeah.
If I went and
There's
got
something I needed.
If I get out here, I think it'll give me a survival estimate of like, I don't know, 20 minutes or something. But while I'm inside, I don't freeze to death. Oh, 6 minutes. Gotta check this out.
God, is there weather now?
It's a blizzard right now.
That's pretty cool.
It's the middle of the night outside of New Babbage Spaceport.
That's pretty cool.
Negative 82 Celsius. Look at the body temperature thing clock going down 35.8 Celsius.
Finally found something I was looking for.
Character now freeze to death.
That's still pretty neat, though.
This is the Spartan. This is the Ballista's like sister ship, so a vehicle. This is the one that seats 8 in full armor and guns and stuff. It's basically the new APC, but it loses the missile rack. It just keeps the cannon at the front.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna pick one of these up. This is pretty slick. Things I like about this is that it has storage built in, a lot of storage built in. And it claims it has better armor than the Ballista. Let's see if that scanner works. Curious about workshop. Tab brought up something 6,000 meters away. There we go. Woohoo!
What'd you find?
Well, when you scan, you can find like mineral deposits and stuff, like ores to mine and things like that. And you can also find like player and NPCs and stuff, like vehicles, wrecks, that kind of stuff. So I like the fact that it has a scanner built in. I think the Ballista has one too, though. Like, you don't lose that, I think, if you get the Ballista instead. They kept emphasizing how quick it is, but I don't think it's that fast. It's good enough, I mean, but and back in. Let's see. We're gonna see how much of a challenge it is to actually bring it back to the base here to like store it away. And you actually see something with these lights. The side task lights are kind of obnoxious a little bit. I think it's.
I don't know. I like them. Being able to see to your sides like that helps a bunch sometimes.
Yeah, that is true. It's just. I wish I could turn them off and on.
Yeah.
I think it's all or nothing with the lights. I believe this is where the door. Wait, the doors are where the pipes are at. I just saw the pipes over here. Breaking news: it's hard to see in the middle of the night.
The pipes.
All playing. But Danny boy can't see in the pitch black with a blizzard. Oh wow, it's reverse. It's very slow. You know, this thing reminds me of the Insurgent in GTA Online. Remember that pickup truck thing, the armored pickup truck we always used?
I remember.
Alright, I finally found home. A little bit of a bugginess with the accessing.
Please proceed to assigned landing bay.
That's good. Alright. 7 more.
Man, administratively trying to move this thing around is a little bit tough because the reverse is so much slower than the forward. It's like when you're in reverse, it feels like I'm working a big rig 18 wheeler or something in second, first half gear and second gear, whatever. Then when you go
That's
forward,
how fast you would want to be going in reverse in an 18-wheeler.
well, but then when you go forward, it feels like the Tokyo Drift song starts playing. Yeah. It feels like that. Like, it's fast. It's incredibly fast.
You want to see some real speed?
It's got 3 freaking doors. It's got a door there, a door here, and a door at the back. And I think that's actually a good thing. So you can kind of have people from different directions. You can't just camp this thing easily. There's no respawn in it, but I mean, it's got 9 people on board, not counting anybody who climbs on top. They keep trying to push that. They're saying, oh, in the future you can climb on top and throw even more people on
I
it.
just don't see anybody coming together with that large of enough group.
In
You
a
know what I
single
mean?
vehicle, especially.
Yeah.
Like, especially like a ground vehicle. Like, it's not, this
On
isn't
any
like,
vehicle, in all honesty, like,
yeah.
I feel like they're going to want to have a death by 1,000 paper cuts rather than, anything else.
I think, though, there is some ships that have the ability to drop a whole squad, and being able to slap in a few people into this thing is going to be pretty useful for those limited circumstances. I'll be honest with you, I wish there was a model that only had, like, maybe 4 jump seats in it on the back, not 8.
Yeah.
And the rest of it had cargo space or a crane that could lift stuff, like that kind of thing. Like some utility / carries a few folk, you know. I think that would be way more useful for day to day. So it's a cool vehicle. I gotta go upstairs and store it so I don't get yelled at for the pad. Can't wait till Persistence hangars come in. Average for RSI day, and then end up with a Anvil Spartan test drive. Because of the way these are overlapped, I can get away with things like that. Both areas are open. You can rent all the different vehicles. I would highly recommend getting here at least once hopefully every 24 hours. But I want to give CIG props for that. That in the past there was times where you could only see a specific brand, and if you missed that day, you missed that day. By having these overlapping days, it makes sure people have some content to enjoy. Folks can cut in and out based on their works and school schedules. Just really cool, really good facts. I hope to wish you all a good night. Enjoy IAE. Hope to run into more of you. And be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Just wanted to take an extra moment here to thank all of my long-term subscribers, people who give me feedback. I have constantly tried to implement different things that I've heard from folks and try to keep everybody happy. As a reminder, this channel is for every level of backer, from the newest person who just heard about Star Citizen and these big events, to returning players, to folks that have diehard and play almost or as much as I do, and Discord and Spectrum Warrior just as much. Thank you all for being here, and can't wait to see what's next.